Hi, welcome to my channel Mostly Knitting. I'm Tash, and if you're new here, this is a weekly podcast where I talk mostly about my knitting that I've been doing during the week and any other crafting if I happen to have done any. And if you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. So it is Saturday the 22nd of July and I'm recording here on a sunny winter day in Sydney, Australia. So I'm going to jump right into it with my finished objects. I am wearing the Sorrel, and that is by Wool & Pine, and I knit it using Rowan Kidsilk Haze in the colourway Nectar. I'll just grab it actually. So I've got this with some bits and bobs. I've got about one skein left, so I used 4 balls of this, which I think is about 850 metres, and then I used a lot of odds and ends and leftovers and one full skein. Life in the Long Grass Merino singles with lots of leftovers from my So Faded, and the one skein, reaching, I thought I had this ready. The one skein that I did use, a full skein for the bottom of the sweater, was Barbara Deserved Better. That's the colourway, and it's Tosh Merino Light, Madelinetosh Tosh Merino Light. Right, so if you've watched any of my previous episodes, this sweater was a bit fraught. I brought in a colour that I was really unhappy with, and I ripped ripped almost the whole body, and then started knitting again, and then realised I really needed to rip back. So I'll just stand up and show you. I'm much happier with the colours now. I think it blends nicely. I did a much better job of slowly blending in the colours as the pattern described, instead of being lazy and cutting corners. So this colour here is the Barbara Deserved Better, and I didn't have much left of the So Faded. So I just used the leftovers from my So Faded. So it was really good. I did use up a lot of leftovers. I only bought one new skein of 4-ply fingering weight yarn, and then I obviously used the mohair. So what did I do differently? I cast on 88 stitches, so that was for a size 35, and then I did a much shorter ribbing and I used a larger needle. So the pattern, you use a 3.25mm and a 3.75mm, and I used a 3.5 and a 4. Because I used so what that did was it just made the neckline not go up as high up my neck, which I wanted more of a crew neck style. And I also cut out, because of my larger needle size, I think it just made, in my 2 previous versions, the yoke was a bit long. This actually is perfect. It's still longish, but it's actually much more comfortable than the other 2. And so what I did was I cut out one of these 6 row repeats here of these elongated stitches. So anything else I did differently, and so I faded in a lot of different colors, and I did have a few more stitches on the needles for the sleeves. This one I had 56 stitches, whereas my others I either had 50 or 52, and the sleeves were a bit tight. So these sleeves feel fine now, and I just did 56 all the way down, and then I decreased down to 48, and then did a 1x1 twisted rib for the bind off. It's a little puffy, but not too bad. My forearms are practically the same size as my biceps. Either I have large forearms or small biceps, or both. So really only, even if I was going to decrease, I would only decrease here and it would be quite rapid. So I thought, you know what, I'm actually just quite happy just as it is. So yeah, I'm really happy with how it's turned out. I'm really pleased that I ripped the body back. I think it was worth it. Now, this bit here that was a little bit messy because the yarn, I didn't wash it before I reknit it, and that was a bit of a mistake. I think blocking usually sorts that out, and I've had no problem with that in the past. But I think because of the mohair, and the mohair sort of grabs with the yarn and wants to keep it where it is, blocking will do less evening out if you're re-knitting your yarn. So that's something I discovered. So it's way better than it was before, but it's not as good as the yarn that hadn't been knit already. But I'm hoping with, just continued wear, look, it's not going to bother me. I'm not ripping it out again. But I notice it. I notice a few stitches here and there that are like, it's not quite as tidy as I would normally like it, but otherwise, yeah, it's really good and I'm really happy with it. So that's my only finished object for the week. I'll just get to my works in progress. So I have one new work in progress, and normally I'm super excited about my new works in progress. This one, yeah, I'm okay. I'm just a bit, I'm not sure. There's a few things. Well, let me tell you about it first. So this is the mini mock neck tank by Jessie Maed Designs, and so I started this on Tuesday, and it's now, oh, that's the back, that's the front. It's now Saturday, so this is 4 days of knitting, but I was on a cruise, so that so it was pretty quick knitting. So this, I used the recommended needle size, which is let me think, 3.5 mil for the body and 2.75 mil for the ribbing. And I was pretty close to gauge. I was getting 25 stitches over 4 inches instead of 24, so mine was a bit tighter. But this is Wollmeise Twin in the colorway Oohm, and I do know that this one, because I've made sweaters with it in the past, it does stretch out to 24 on that size needle, so I'm sure it will be fine. Yeah, so I will just try it on for you. It's nearly done. I only had one skein of yarn, and Wollmeise is sold in the, at least their sock yarn is sold in 150 gram balls. And so with the twin, it's 150 grams and you get 466 meters. So I only had one skein, so I'm limited by that. I will say that I have this colorway in Wollmeise lace, so which is a little bit lighter, but obviously, sorry, so much fluff. If I really needed to with a bind off, or if I got short, I could use that. But yeah, it would obviously not work to knit a whole chunk of the sweater in it, or the top in it. So let me see, I'll try it on. Is that the right way? No, that's the right. Oh, hang on. That's the right way. Okay. Now it's almost finished. I chose, you can do a crew neck or the mock, what is it called? Mini mock neck. I don't know. The higher ribbing. So I chose to do that. You can see my bra straps, which isn't ideal. Now this hasn't been blocked. I'm just gonna tie my hair back just so it's out of the way. Let me see. So I haven't done, I'm knitting the size medium, which is what normally she recommends for a 36-inch bust. And I have a 32-inch bust, but because my gauge was a bit tighter, I thought, oh, look, I'll knit the medium. The other thing that I mentioned in my plans on this, sorry, there's lots of strands of yarn hanging around, was that between the medium and the small, the only difference was two differences. There was 4 more stitches sort of cast on here and in the back cast on for the medium, and you cast on 15 stitches under the arms instead of 7. So what I did was I did it for the medium with the extra 4 stitches, but then instead of casting on 15 under the arms, I just cast on 7. So this is going to have 16 stitches less than a standard medium. You can see that I'm playing around with the edges. It has, in the pattern, you've got like a ribbed edge, so you slip the first and last of every stitch on the right side, and then you've got this knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one rib. So that's, you can probably see, that's sort of stretchier than the rest of the knitting. So I'm going to be interested to see how that blocks out, because I'm not really loving how that's sort of a little bit, you know, normally when you do ribbing, you do it on a smaller size needle. I'm pulling that down, that sort of helps fix that a little bit. So you can see that the armhole drops a bit lower, but my bra is actually down here, so that should cover the bra. I hope. We'll see what happens after I block it. So I'm up to the ribbing. Now you can see it's going to be pretty cropped. I plan to make it longer than the pattern said, and I'm just going to knit. I've got, hang on, the ball's fallen down. I've got 14 grams left, so I'm just going to knit until I run out of yarn. And this is these jeans. There's my belly button there, so it almost covers my belly button. These jeans are sort of mid-rise, I guess. So if I was wearing higher waisted jeans, I'd probably be all right. And I'll still get another, I'm using 1.1 grams for every row. And if I've got 14 grams left, I've got about, I guess about 11 rows in the bind off left. So 11 more rows of the ribbing in the bind off. I'll get a bit more. I'll go as far as I can anyway, and we'll see. So I'll definitely have that finished for next week. Let me see. Oh, I had a few little hiccups with this. One was, so you start here, you start with the back, and then you knit a bit, and then you knit down one side, and knit down one side, knit down the other side, and then join, and so you sort of work the back down, work the front down, and then you join fully in the round. Got to about here, and then thought, look, I want to do the neck before I, so that I can knit to the very end. So I used the inside of the ball and knit the neckline, and as I was picking up the stitches for the neckline, I was picking them up down one side and then picking them up the other side, and I had, like, as you pick up along this edge, you pick up one for one, and I had 4 more pickup stitches down one side than I did the other. I was like, that's a bit strange. One, maybe I've just sort of picked up an extra in the corner, but 4, and then I counted my rows. I realized I'd knit 4 extra rows on the, I was a bit distracted. We were doing trivia when I was on the cruise when I was knitting this. So obviously got a bit excited by the trivia and wasn't quite paying attention. So, and by that stage, I had already joined, knit down, knit the back, knit the front, knit in the body, and I was down to about here when I was doing this. And I was like, okay, what do I do? I'm not ripping all of that back. So what I did was it's my left side, I put sort of, 2 needles in here and here, and I cut my knitting, took out 5 rows and grafted 1 row. So that cut out the 4 rows. So that was a bit disappointing, but it was good that I had a workaround, and yes, I'm happy about that. I'm not completely happy with my grafting job, but I can go back and tidy that up. I'm really happy with it around here. I'm just not, it was a bit trickier to do at the knit one, purl one section, which I do know how to do. I can graft in pattern, but I was a bit stressed and a bit like flustered because I'd done so much knitting and I really wanted to make sure it worked. So I might pull the end of it back and have another go at the last little bit of it. Like this bit, this is where I started, that's all fine, so that's no problem. But I finished out here and wasn't that happy, so I can actually take that back a little bit because there is no finishing on the edges. It's this knit one, purl one rib that finishes for the edge. So yeah, so that's the mini mock neck tank by Jessie Maed Designs. I think I will make this again. The other thing that I'll just mention about the Wollmeise twin, it's super, it's got like a bajillion little plies plied together, if you can see that. Lots of little plies, so it's pretty easy to sort of skewer the yarn. And the other thing is, see how it kind of curls on itself? Like it does that a lot, which usually I think means it's like overspun or something. I mean, obviously I didn't see how that, anyway. It does that a lot, and it was a real bit of a challenge, or just a bit annoying to work with. I mean, I've worked with it before, but anyway. So that's this one. I will definitely do it again, but I'll see how long this ends up. At least I know 466 meters, maybe 460 meters, seeing I cut out a bit. For me, it wouldn't be long enough to just use like a standard 400 meter skein of yarn. So I'd need like a skein and a bit, or yeah. So like I'm planning on making it again with the Madelinetosh MC and fingering in the colorway Bloomsbury, which I actually do just have down here. And I've got that and a whole skein. So I've got enough of that. So I reckon I will do it again. I'll make another one. Assuming I like it, it blocks this sort of edgy bit, blocks out nicely, but I'll be able to make it a little bit longer because I've got 1.5 skeins there. Right, so that's my new cast on. Ranunculus by Midori Orosi is the next one. Sorry, oh, I caught on my earrings. That's the problem with all those little plies, like it catches on things really easily, like earrings and stuff. So this is the one that I'm making. Oh, suddenly got really dizzy. I've been since we got off I only got off the cruise yesterday, and I'm quite, I was fine on the cruise, but I've been really like a bit nauseous and a bit dizzy since I got off. So anyway, that I've eaten today, but yeah, just doesn't seem to be food related. I'm just dizzy. Anyway, I'll be fine. I will be fine. Right, so this is next one. I'll pause if I need to. So this is Ranunculus by Mildoro Hiroshi, and I'm using Berroco Remix in the eggplant colorway. I did actually make some progress on this. So it's pretty big, this one, but I mean, it's meant to be an oversized tee, right? So I am using 6mm needles, which is what's in the pattern. I'm making short sleeves, but I'm not using the short sleeve version of the pattern. I'm actually just sort of, because with the pattern you sort of almost bind off for the sleeves. I'm actually just going to do a few rows and then a little bit of ribbing, so they'll be pretty short sleeves. Like I'm only going to do maybe 3 or 4 rows, and then, you know, maybe 5 rows of ribbing. So there won't be much in the sleeves. And then I'm working down the body. And I used about 1 ball, just over 1 ball for the yoke. And so this hasn't been blocked. We'll see what it's like when it's blocked. But yeah, I think, like you can see, it's quite big. But that's okay, it's meant to be. It's meant to be nice and loose and blousy. So I just got past the body and like a few rows so I could try it on, and then I have this much of the second ball left, and I have a few extra little balls, so I'll use them to do the sleeves and get that done, and then I'll see how. I mean, I think I'll have plenty. Like I don't think I'll run out of yarn because I have maybe 2.5 balls of this. So you know, I'll knit until I'm sort of happy with it, but I'll probably use most of. And these were the leftovers from a beatnik pullover. And yeah, so that feels quite good. Like I didn't buy any yarn for this, it's just complete leftovers. And I was really umming and ahhing about the colour, just because you can't really see the patterning that much, and there's heaps of tweed and stuff, but I just think it's nice. I'm still really happy with it, so yeah. Okay, so that, anything else on it? No, that's it. Yep, that's it for that one. And yeah, I'm at the round and round on the body, and there's not too much to the sleeve, so that should be done reasonably quickly, especially on 6mm needles. My next work in progress is the Audrey top by PetiteKnit, and I'm using a black cotton yarn called Online Linie Clip. It's probably discontinued now. I used it for my Green Gable, which was black, and these are the leftovers. So again, another project with no purchased yarn. And I had, I don't know, maybe 300 meters or 400 meters. Yeah, 400 meters of it. So what I've done is I did do a few things differently, of course. I did although if I will make this again, and I might try it exactly as the pattern said, because Karen, who's Casuarina girl, she mentioned that she didn't think it was a big deal to try it wasn't that hard to start it using Judy's Magic Cast On. So I might do it that way. But anyway, what I did for this one was I did a provisional cast on, and then I knit for the front and the back, knit up front, knit up the back, and then unpicked that, and then worked down. So I'm still going, and I've got this and some more yarn left. And I did the straps already because I wanted to get an idea, not because I'm going to run out of yarn, but I just want to get an idea if I'm, as I'm trying it on, am I happy with the length? Right, so I'll try it on. So I'm using one needle size smaller, so the pattern says 4mm and 3mm, and I'm using 2.75 and 3.75. So the straps were 2.75. It's again bits of yarn hanging off everywhere. Right. So of course, I mentioned last time that I was trying it on with a black top on underneath, so you couldn't really see. So you'll see that it's got quite an open armhole, but I actually did try this on earlier with a strapless black bra, and it worked. Like you couldn't see the bra, or if you could, it was only a tiny bit, so it wasn't like a huge issue. And I'm really happy with the length of those straps. I think that's going to be, like, it's got a nice high back. And yeah, I mean, it's very, there's really not much to it, right? You really see a lot of, and I'd have to wear a strap, like you can see the bra strap here, I'd have to wear a strapless bra with it, or it could be something that I wear over swimmers or something. Yeah, so that's, now that I feel better, kind of better happier that I've tried it on with a bra, done the straps, and I'm like, yes, it works. So now I'll just knit down the body on that one, and I reckon I'll make another version of this one because this was pretty quick. Right, so that's my third work in progress. I'm going to put my sorrel back on because it's a little bit chilly here, and there's nothing else at the moment to try on except my faux from the vault. I'll do that, and I'll pause when I do that. I'm just going to get this off. Right, so the Skimmer socks are my next work in progress. So I told you before I made the blue ones, and they don't fall down, which is so exciting for me because most, pretty much all commercial socks I've ever bought that are meant to be no-show socks, well, you don't see them, but you don't see them because they're halfway down your foot, and I find that really uncomfortable. So, sorry, mohair. Yes, in fact, I'm wearing them now. There's my shoe. You can see just the little bit of the back, so it hasn't fallen down. You only see a tiny bit, so it's not completely no-show, but that's not bad, right? Yeah? Anyway, I think so. So I'm making another pair. I'll just get my hair out of this. Yeah, sorry, spitting a bit. Okay, so Skimmer socks revisited. I don't know what the original one was, but the pattern that I'm making says Skimmer socks revisited by Shelia Toy Stromberg. And ta-da, I have one already done. So I did this, can't remember when I started it, but you know, I'm on holidays, right? So how cute is that? Oh, I love it. So this is using some leftover yarn from my aunt, and I'm pretty sure it was Hedgehog Fibers. Hedgehog Fibers, I'll hold it up there while I talk. Hedgehog Fibers twist sock. So it's got a really tight twist. And I had 2 balls already wound up that my aunt had given me. And these blue ones that I'm wearing, the blue socks, are 17 grams. And I had 2 18-gram balls of this. I thought, sweet, no problem. However, this yarn is a little bit heavier, so I did run out. But I'm really happy that I ran out because I had like 1 row and a bind off to go. And then I had this Madelinetosh sock yarn in the colorway Posy. See how that's got a really tight twist as well? That's why I thought it would go really nicely, because it's also got a tight twist. And I thought that finished it off. In fact, I like it even better because of that. I think that's really, really cute. So that one's done. Now my second one, I just paused on it because, so you start with a, I do this on a 2.25mm needle, and the ribbing I do on a 2mm needle, and then bind off tightly using a 2mm needle. So you start here with Judy's Magic Cast On, you work up about this far, and then you put this on, like, it says put it on holders, but I just put it on the cable, and then you work just down the body of the foot, and then you do some short rows, and they're just wrap and turn short rows, which I don't mind wrap and turn short rows when you're resolving them back and forth. I don't like wrap and turn short rows when you resolve them in the round. Don't think they work as well. But back and forth, no problem. So I was like, sure, I'll just do wrap and turn. That's no problem. I'm not going to switch it out to German short rows, because if you switch to German short rows, you have to kind of change the numbers off by 1 a little bit. I won't get into that now. I'll mention that another time. Maybe that's a good video, how to switch from wrap and turn to German short rows, and how you have to kind of alter the numbers just a tiny bit. Because wrap and turn, you don't use a stitch, whereas German short rows, you move 1 over. And anyway, that will be another video if you're interested, how to switch from one to the other. But again, I was a bit distracted when I was doing the short rows, which is probably not the best idea. And I think I forgot to do the wrap on the first one, because I got to it and I was like, I should have 1 more. And so I kind of tried to fudge it a little bit, and it didn't work very well. And so I'm going to rip that back, and what I'm going to do is try to work out, like when I resolved the second to last one, I was looking at it going, that wrap, where does that yarn come from? So I want to try to create the missed wrap at that spot, you know, by just sort of pulling it from the right spot and putting it around it. But I tried to do it with a yarn over, like a yarn over short row, and that didn't work well. So I am going to go back and fix that. And if I fix it successfully, I'll do a video on that. What to do if you've missed a wrap. How do you sort of steal it to create a wrap so that you've then got something to resolve. yes, so that hasn't got a lot of knitting left on it because that's all that's left. And then just one row in the bind off with Posy. Yeah. So, and I did have a tiny little bit left from this one, like this, you know, just in case the two, I don't know where I put it, like maybe this long, just in case the two balls weren't exactly the same, length, just in case I need a little bit more. Yeah. So I will fix that, and that should be done pretty quickly because I do want to, I only have one pair of no-show socks now. And I wear these sneakers a fair bit, so I'd like to get that one finished. So I've got a second pair, so one's in the wash, and I'm sure I'll be making more of these. There's a little bit more thinking than just in a standard vanilla sock, but there's obviously a lot less knitting, and yeah, I've only got one pair of no-show socks, and I'd like more. Right, so that's my 4th work in progress. My 5th one is a Musselburgh. So, oh, who is it? No, that's not the Musselburgh. Oh, here it is. So the Musselburgh hat, this is using the yarn, the Hedgehog Fibers Skinny Singles in a colorway that I can't remember. It was one specially dyed for my local yarn store, and this is the one that they gave away. And Beck showed her finished version on the last podcast. So that's how much I've done on that one, which is, you know, probably about a 1/3 maybe. I don't know, I could weigh the ball and find out. So I've got that much left, and then I also have the yarn that I unraveled from the Sorrel, because that's what I did have in here that didn't look so good. Yeah, so that's just, you know, motoring along. I think this is Musselburgh number 16. And yeah, I'll just keep working on that. Let me see. And I've got 2 more works in progress. So I'll just quickly show this one. This is the mitts for Mia. I forgot to take them away with me, and so they have made no progress. In fact, I haven't even fixed the bit where I sort of was trying to correct a stitch that I'd only wrapped one yarn around, and I was trying to drop down and fix it, and it wasn't working, so I still have to unravel it. So no progress on that. That is with Rowan Kidsilk Haze in the colorway Wicked, and I think the Myak Baby Lace. So I will get on and do those though, because I'm sure Mia would like to wear them while it's winter. Oops, sorry. And then my last one, again, no progress on this, but I'm pretty sure I'll finish it because I think I mentioned last time that I blocked out the neckline of the Cumulus, and it was sitting nicer, it wasn't puckering, and I was happy with that. So I've put it back on the needles, and I just haven't made any progress on it yet. I didn't really want to take it away. I kind of wanted to take away things that weren't going to cause me problems, or I wasn't going to stress about. I don't know if that worked, but I mean, I didn't just want to knit on Musselburgh while I was away, right? So I thought about making a dotted raise, I thought about Exploration Station, but then I thought that would take too much attention. Anyway, you saw what I did. I got nearly a whole top made, and yeah, so, oh yeah, like I knit a whole sock on the drive back from Bendigo. Not knit a whole sock, I knit a whole sleeve almost. I think I had like maybe 3 rows of ribbing. I knit all of that in on the drive back from Bendigo, so because we shared the driving. It's like a 9-hour drive. Yeah, anyway, that's it for my works in progress. That was quite a bit there. Right, so I'm going to go get my faux from the vault. Right, this is my faux from the vault. I'm going to do this kind of quickly because it's cold. So this is Mocca by Svetlana Volkova, and I'll stand up. I would normally wear it with like a skirt, I normally wear this with like a white skirt, and it's got a really pretty detail around the neck, and it's meant to have something like that on the bottom, but I just did a garter on the bottom, so that's one change that I made. This yarn is Sundara Silk Sport, and I used just under 2 skeins. One of the things I didn't love that you can see is it's pooling here, and it sort of looks like I've got like a bust cup kind of situation going on here. So that was a bit disappointing. Like, they didn't look like there was a lot of variation in the yarn, but obviously with the you know, this particular stitch count, it pooled. So this, I might even over dye this actually. I think that's one. So I wear this with a strapless bra, and you can see that it's quite similar to the Audrey top in terms of the, you know, amount of sort of arm and shoulder coverage and the depth of you know, the depth of these armholes. So I pretty much have to wear a strapless bra with this, which is fine. I don't love wearing strapless bras. I feel like I'm always going like that with it, so it's not falling down. Yeah, but you know, if I'm going out at night and it's sort of a bit fancy, so I wouldn't wear this on a normal, you know, in a normal day. So this is actually, this top is 12 years old, nearly 12 years old. I made it in 5 days. This was my second version. I made a white version. Where did I put it? I'm going crazy. I think I left it. I don't know what I did with it. I'll come back, I'll grab it. So I made a white version first and I really liked it. And I thought it would look really pretty as like a real, you know, an elegant fancy top. So I made one out of silk. So this is a sport weight silk. So the pattern was meant to be completely A-line. I added in some waist shaping. I made it pretty long because I think I've mentioned before, I used to make everything really long because I was wearing a lot of low-waisted stuff. And now, like if I'm wearing a skirt that sits sort of here, that's just a lot covering the skirt. So I'm thinking that I might actually, because it's top down, I might rip back a bit and sort of take out a bit, like maybe about that much there. Yeah, anyway, I'm thinking of doing that. So that might just, but yeah, I like it. I'm trying to think what else I obviously use very little yarn. See if I can see how much. I'll put down the meterage in here, and obviously I'll put a link to all the projects that I talk about. So yeah, I did waist shaping. I made that white one first. This, I got gauge on this one, which is 24 stitches over 4 inches. My white one, the gauge stretched out to like 22 stitches. So this is, I can't remember if I already said, this is Cartier Espiga, which is 100% cotton. And after like, you know, wearing and everything, the gauge stretched out to 22 stitches. So this one is actually 31-inch bust, and this one is a 29-inch bust, and my bust is 32 inches. So this is 3 inches of, just so you can see, that's 3 inches of negative ease on me. So I think it's meant to be worn with a bit of negative ease, you know, for sort of a dressy top. Yeah, I don't think there was anything else that I was going to say. Oh yeah, so it's 29 inches, and then from here down at the moment is 13 inches long. So I could probably cut out about 3 inches. And obviously if I made it again, which, you know, now I'm looking at it, like it's so pretty there, I would potentially make it again, and at least I know I, you know, wouldn't need a lot of yarn for it. Yeah, so, and yeah, I might even over dye this because of it definitely doesn't get quite as much wear because of the pooling. Right. Okay, back and warm. Right, so my purchases, I bought the Field Sweater by Camilla Vad, that just got released the other day, and I'm going to, so that's it for purchases. I haven't bought anything else. I bought a pattern and I haven't even read through it yet. It came out and it was 20% discount until Sunday, and I knew I wanted to make it because it just looks so pretty. And it's got a 20 stitch gauge. I'm planning to use Isia, Highland wool and silk mohair, which is what I got from some of the yarn I got from Sunspun. So I'm definitely going to swatch that. I might even swatch that this afternoon because, you know, people get sort of complain about swatching, and I get it because it's not, you're not making progress or anything, but I actually really, especially like, well, we know that I made a mistake on the Sorrel, right? It's really important to swatch. Do you like these colors together? Do you like the fabric? And it actually kind of gets me a bit excited about the project. So and it gives me confidence. I'm like, yes, I got gauge, or now I have to, you know, do a bit of, so it's part of the planning for me. And my little swatch just, you know, I look at it and it makes me happy, and then I think, yes, that's what's coming up. So that is an upcoming plan, the Field Sweater. I'm also going to make Exploration Station now that I've got this yarn, this apricot yarn, which looks very similar to the reindeer that Stephen used. And he used Grimm, I think, something like Grimm, or I don't know, something that was kind of more blackish. This has got a bit of yellow in it, but I think it's going to be fine. So, oopsie. Yeah, so that's going to be my Exploration Station. So that's up one of my upcoming plans. And another upcoming plan is another mini mock neck tank using this Madelinetosh MCN fingering in the colorway Bloomsbury. And then I think when I finish those skimmer socks, I want to make another pair. I found these leftovers. I'll just grab them. Sorry. you won't be able to see much of them, but these are some leftovers from, I've forgotten the name. There's a lady who did these, somebody will probably be able to tell me when they see it. The socks, stripy socks where they're like meant to be perfectly matching, and yeah, anyway, I forget. I'll put it in there down by the name of this yarn, and I think I've got about 18 grams of those yet. I'm really interested to see how these stripy socks look when you knit in that kind of unusual sort of, you know, construction. It might look a bit blech, but given that they're no-show socks, it won't matter anyway. So yes, but I'm curious. Obviously, I do want them to look nice. So that's also another upcoming plan. I think that's enough for now, though, in terms of upcoming plans. But I will mention actually what has caught my eye. So I wouldn't call this a plan because I haven't really thought beyond, oh, that's pretty. And that is the Polwarth sweater by Ysolda Teague. So that is knit out of a sport weight yarn, which is a 26 stitch gauge for the pattern. Has a really nice detail around the neck. So Ysolda put out a podcast, kind of like, she has a YouTube channel with tutorials and various things, and she put out what I'm making, what I'm designing, and it was really interesting. And she was wearing this Polwarth sweater, and it looked really nice. So it caught my eye. I'm not at the point of like putting things to like finding yarn for it or anything, but I'm thinking about it. Right, now the knit along. I haven't seen any new pictures on Instagram. I did have a look, although I think there was someone had done an anchor tee, and I don't know that I've shown it before. So if I haven't, I'm going to show it. If I showed it again, sorry. But that's the anchor tee by PetiteKnit in this sort of navy colour, and I'll just put in the down bar whose it is. I'm sorry, I forgot to write down your name. But yes, that one looks really pretty, and that also inspired me, and I thought, oh, I do really like that. I do like that top. So that could be another summer top that I'd be percolating in my brain is something that I might want to make. Yes, so, but knit along, that's going to run until the 1st of September, which means there's only another 6 weeks. So yes, and it's pretty much like initially the parameters were kind of any pattern that I'd mentioned, or a PetiteKnits pattern, or a My Favorite Things pattern with all the camisoles and things, because I was going to make one of those, but I haven't yet. So, but basically, you know, I don't really care. I want to see what you're making. So if you put in the hashtag mostly knitting YouTube Cal and put it on Instagram, that would be great. And I will do some prizes at the end, just patterns probably, because it's expensive to ship yarn from Australia. Let me see. I'm not going to bring out the Hidden Whips basket today. We've got renovations starting on Monday, and I just don't want to be, and I've got enough on my plate at the moment. But that will come back. That segment will come back. Yes, so, but not this week. Any other craft? No, I didn't do any sewing before I went away. I was sort of busy getting stuff ready, and I didn't sew, and haven't done any crochet or anything. One day, but I'm obviously not going to sew now for a while, so I'm not even going to mention it, because we've got renovations starting on Monday, and that will take a few weeks, and I just don't want to add to the clutter. Also, there's going to be like, what do you call it, the dust that reminds me, I want to put like cover over things, like my sewing machine and everything. You know, you get that sort of tile dust and all of that throughout the house. So yes, I'm gonna have to do, this weekend will be a big putting things away. Anyway, I'm getting onto personal stuff. So I think that's it for the knitting content. So if you've enjoyed the podcast, yeah, if you can like and subscribe, that would be really nice. And now I'm just getting on to the last couple of weeks and what's upcoming. So aside from the podcast with Beck a week ago, my last one before that, I was about to go whale watching, I think with Zach, and Alex ended up coming as well, which was really lovely. And although she makes me so nervous, there's like all of these cliffs where there's no barrier, and she goes right up to them. Both Zach and I are like, Alex. Anyway, it was lovely to have her there, and it was just really nice to go on a bushwalk with 2 of my kids. And it was a shame, Mia would have loved to have come, but she was working that day. We did see whales, but nothing like the video with my friend's drone. It was like, we did see 2 sightings. One was 2 whales, one was 1 whale. And I'll put up a tiny little clip of what it'll be like 1 second and you'll barely see it, but it was a whale, 2 whales. Yeah, so that was fun. Then I just got ready to go away to Melbourne and Bendigo. So last minute change, Zach decided to come with us to Melbourne and Bendigo. So that was fun actually. We on the first day in Melbourne, we rented these e-scooters. That was fun actually. And then Zach went along on the scooter and I did a run around the Tan. And the Tan is like a running track around, it's almost 4 Ks, which is about 2.5 miles around the Botanic Gardens in Melbourne. So I'd always heard people talk about running around the Tan. So that was really nice to run around it. And yeah, like a lot of famous runners have run around it and been timed, and they have this pole, I'll put a picture of it, of all of their times of like 12 minutes, like just crazy fast, which I don't run like that. I'm a plodder, but yeah, I enjoy it. So then we went, I went to the night markets in Bendigo. That was, not in Bendigo, night markets in, we went to them in Bendigo too, but we went to the night markets in Melbourne, which was crazy busy. Caught the tram out there and they were like all squished in like sardines. Good thing sort of the worst of COVID has passed. Yeah, so that was fun. And then we picked up Beck from Melbourne, drove to Bendigo, and then we've done the whole other Bendigo video with Beck. But we did go to the night markets after we posted that video, and that was really nice. We've got these bao buns. So I should take a photo. I don't do a lot of food photos, but the bao buns were awesome. And yeah, then it was just back to Sydney. We got back the long drive. I knitted on like 1 whole sleeve on the drive back, so that was almost finished. And I think we got back around 6 o'clock on Sunday night, and then I left. I was being picked up on Monday morning at 11 a.m. for the cruise. So I mean, it's lovely stuff, but it was a bit chaotic. So I forgot Mia's mitts, and anyway, it was a great cruise. It was really fun. I went with a friend from work and her sister and her daughter and her sister's daughter. So there were 5 of us women on the cruise, and it was really fun. We did trivia and ate well and walked along the beach at Moreton Island, which is in Queensland. Much warmer than here in Sydney. It was like, and it also, not like the days were that much warmer, but the nights just don't get as cold. And yeah, so that was lovely. I got back yesterday. I'm fully like dizzy and a bit nauseous. So I'm just moving a bit slowly, but I have a lot to do. Like it's Saturday afternoon now. We've got renovations happening on Monday, and I've got to get everything out of my bathroom and cover stuff over so that it doesn't get all dust all over it. So yes, and I've got some topic tests to mark ready to go back to school on Monday. Yeah, so, and I think my year 12s are doing their trial HSC in week 2, so there'll be a bit of like revision for them. So it'll be busy. Won't be nearly as much knitting, which is fine. You know, I'm back teaching and I love my job. So I always find after holidays, like I really enjoyed the holidays, but I'm also really excited to get back and see my classes. Yep, so I think that's it for me, and I'll try and get back on a regular schedule and try and include some, you know, the tutorials in the middle of my regular uploads. I do try to upload on my Friday morning, which is like in the US Thursday night. That's my usual upload time for these videos. And then somewhere in the middle, I try to do a tutorial. So yeah, if you've enjoyed, if you haven't already, if you can like and subscribe, if you've stuck around this long, if you can do that, that would be really awesome. And I'll see you next week. Thanks.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there you go. That's great.
Ooh, you see more of it there now.